The youth of our nation are facing a greater threat than many may realize. Hi, my name is Karen Hathaway, and today I will be talking to you about how starting the conversation about sex before puberty will build a strong framework and help you get through the transition with your teens. Today, we're going to be looking at the growth that is happening with sex today. 40% of high school students have never had sex. 10% of those kids have had 4 or more partners, and then 14% of them did not use any protection with any of their sexual activities. So, what are we going to talking about, and why I think this is such an important thing that we need to talk about, is that a professor at the San Francisco Hospital said, openly addressing to the all too human questions of sexual development, sexual desire, and the nature of the adolescent's developing sexual identity are crucial. Sharing factual information with and giving good moral guidance to your teenager is vital importance and part of their teens in understanding himself or herself's body. Why this is so important, you say, is because when I was growing up in a little small town just outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I had a high school, and we had 10 girls pregnant out of a high school class of 102. Today at that high school, there is a daycare center attached to my high school so that teens can bring their children to school. Now, back to the board, we need to find a better goal. Girls and boys are getting less instruction on sex education. It's actually starting to decline since 2002. Girls, what education they are getting? Formal instruction about how to say no to sex. Girls are the 82 percentile, boys are at 84. If they receive any instruction about birth control, girls are at a 60%, boys are at a 55%. Topics that should be treated or talked about in the classroom should be how to say no to sex, methods of birth control, an STI and how they can track them, and where to get their birth control. This type of information should be basic, accurate, and directly contributes to health promoting decisions and behaviors. This type of environment needs to be inviting and warm and welcoming, and the students should feel supported instead of reprimanded for their choices. These need to be included are students who are currently engaged in sexual activity as well as those that are not. So both sets of students will get the vital information that is needed. Something positive that's happening today is that teens are using protection. Maybe not on the first time, but they are. The most commonly form of birth control used by adolescents are condoms by 97% of the time. The pull-out method is 60% of the time, and a birth control pill is 56% of the time, according to the CDC. Now, adolescents who are younger than 14 are at greater risk of never using contraception compared to their older peers because they are not giving the information at a realistic age. These factors could be lack of access, a need for confidential care and low-cost services, the belief that they're unlikely to get pregnant, and poor partner negotiation skills. Today, we live in a very hyper-sexualized media frenzy with women showing their underwear in shopping malls and men are shirtless in magazines. So, what does Dr. Siegel say? Is that parents need to discuss how to make this type of transition and how to make everything safe. Parents can use opportunities when presented in regular discussions about their sexuality and debunk urban myths that sometimes can be passed against groups of friends, like not getting pregnant or you can't get an STD with a condom. So getting those opportunities. My mother was a teen pregnancy person, and so coming from that, I've seen firsthand that it can definitely derail their life. Going back to the board, there are options for teenagers that they might not realize. In 2019, a federal law requires that health insurance plans cover the full range of contraception methods with out-of-pocket costs. So teens might not realize that they do have options to use protection. Many healthcare providers do not talk, pediatricians don't talk to their teenagers about having sex because they're not doing it. They think they're not doing it at least. Services that should be talked about are sex ed, methods, HIV, STD testing, and prenatal care if it comes up. What we need to do is we need to help our teens to realize, yes, it's an uncomfortable situation that we sit down and have the birds and the bees talk, but they're going to be uncomfortable, we're getting uncomfortable, we're getting the information out to them to keep them protected and to protect their lives. I think this is an important topic. I think all parents and schools and communities should be talking about this. I thank you for this welcome, and I thank you for listening to this, and have a good night.